Despite being a highly developed nation regarding the advancements in the health of its citizens, there are still health disparities existing among the general Canadian population, with some groups having worse health than others. In particular, there are clear differences in the health outcomes between high and low income. Unsurprisingly so, because income is considered the greatest determinant of one's health. Lower income households are more likely to report worse self-perceived health than their high income counterparts, and have significantly higher incidences of conditions related to inadequate nutrition, and one in particular, iron deficiency anemia. The World Health Organization has predicted that most pregnant women have some degree of iron deficiency, but approximately 23% of them and 20% of infants in industrialized countries have IDA. While iron deficiency anemia is prevalent in individuals of all socioeconomic backgrounds, a lot of evidence indicates that IDA tends to be more prevalent in lower income individuals. In this documentary, we will be looking at two new mothers with very different socioeconomic backgrounds to see how their environment plays a role in the health in regard to iron deficiency anemia. As well, I brought a family physician in for deeper insight on ways to reduce this inequity and mitigate the effects of low income on infant health.
Anemia is a condition in which there isn't enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body. There are many types of anemia, but the most common type of anemia worldwide is iron deficiency anemia. As the name suggests, anemia is caused from insufficient iron levels for the blood. Red blood cells require a protein called hemoglobin to carry oxygen. An important cofactor that lays in the middle of hemoglobin is called the heme group, which contains a single iron atom. Hemoglobin cannot exist without iron. Therefore, when iron is insufficient in the body, hemoglobin production decreases, along with the levels of healthy blood cells. Anemia is more prevalent in infancy than in adulthood, as there are more risk factors for anemia at that stage. These risk factors include premature birth, nutrition, and low birth weight. Maternal iron status is also associated with infant iron deficiency, because the baby's iron stores for the first 6 months come directly from the mother. Many studies have found that iron deficiency anemia is most prevalent in infants aged from 1 to 2 years old, likely because this is when infants are completely reliant on their own iron stores, not their mother's iron stores. Common symptoms of IDA include extreme fatigue, weakness, pale skin, shortness of breath, and abnormality fast heartbeat, lightheadedness, inflammation of the tongue, and many more. I would first like to introduce you to Naomi. She and her husband met in their first year of medical residency and were married soon after. In between busy weeks of Andrew working full-time as a family physician and Naomi on extended maternity leave to take care of 6-month-old Olivia, the couple enjoy hiking, meditating, and spending time at their cabin. Here, Naomi shares her experience of being a new mom.
I wanted to make sure that my child was set for success from before she was born. My husband and I decided it was time for kids. We got our careers established, spent some time together with just the two of us, and now I'm 34. So if we wanted more than one, now is the time. It's just for ours and our kids' best interest that I have them before I reach 40. My husband's a family doctor, so he was probably a little more concerned about the baby's health and my health for that matter than the average guy. He really encouraged me right from the beginning to eat healthier and get my folic acid. They always stress that you've got to take folic acid and iron and stuff when you're pregnant, like they tell you in prenatal classes and your regular doctor. I really prefer to take all natural supplements rather than just taking the generic supermarket multivitamins which have synthetic vitamins in them, so I took this Super Greens powder throughout my pregnancy. There's a lot of information out there. It's really important to educate yourself about your pregnancy. It plays such a big role in your child's future health.
While Naomi and her infant certainly enjoy good health and a wide magnitude of services available to them, not all mothers have these same opportunities. I headed out to meet Angie and her son Garrett. Angie is a single mom who works full-time as a waitress. She's hoping to return to school and obtain her high school diploma later this year.
This is my kid. This is Garrett. He's 2 now.
We didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid, so
I ended up starting working when I was about 15. I think it was in a restaurant. I was a dishwasher for a while, and so I ended up spending more and more time with my work friends and less time working on school and hanging out with school friends. And so I think around grade 10, I ended up dropping out. So I never graduated high school. You don't make much as a cook, but the people are pretty good at partying, so I ended up moving in with a few coworkers partway through when I would have been in high school. At 18, I unexpectedly got pregnant and was suddenly single, and at 19, I had a kid. So, yeah, sometimes it's been a struggle to make ends meet.
We work with a lot of low-income families here. However, their experience is very different than Naomi's. Naomi's iron levels were great, she had a lot of support from family and friends, and maintained a healthy diet for our baby.
Clearly, there are very different barriers affecting each mother's ability to care for a child and their subsequent risk of anemia, and there are many community-level factors affecting these outcomes. Income is the strongest predictor of health. Health Canada's definition of food security includes the individual's ability to access food in both sufficient quantity and adequate diet quality. This means that lower-income families are at a higher risk for food insecurity due to the greater cost of iron-rich foods such as meat and fresh produce, which may not be as cost-effective to purchase as they will simply take up a higher percentage of their disposable income. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, such as Angie was, income often goes towards housing and utilities and less so towards nutrient-dense food. This alone places low-income groups at a disproportionately higher rate of IDA. In addition, the environments in which these families reside in can also have a large impact on the quality of their food intake. Lower-income neighborhoods are often inner-city and densely populated, with corner shops, convenience stores, and fast food restaurants in large abundance that may not have wide selections of produce and healthy food options. Further exacerbating the limited options is the fact that fast food that these stores offer are often much cheaper than their healthy alternatives. In fact, the only types of produce I found at the convenience store were frozen blueberries and mixed vegetables, both at a significantly marked up price compared to the vast selection at this grocery store that we went to. These large supermarkets are significantly more common in higher income neighborhoods, carrying a vast selection of iron-rich fresh produce and meat. As well, compare these options for meat at the convenience store and at the supermarket. Would it be more cost efficient to spend $7 on a kilogram of frozen chicken nuggets or $32 for a kilogram of a beef steak? In addition, if you're working a stressful job with long hours, often associated with a lower income, will you have the time to prepare a whole meal from scratch using this raw meat? It's unlikely, and this further reinforces iron deficiency and IDA in low-income families. These markets seem to be largely limited to those with enough income to purchase nutritious foods at these prices, as well as having adequate transportation to access and hold their groceries.
You see it everywhere on the internet. Eat this, don't eat that, how to lose weight, how to gain muscle, all these different things. Maybe it works for those people that can afford to buy groceries like that every week. You know, meat's expensive and fancy fruits are expensive. I couldn't afford that kind of food. And they didn't even have fruit at the corner store I usually shopped at, than the one that was near my house.
And what impact do you think that had on your son's development?
Well, when I had Garrett, I was skinny, I was 19, and no one had really taught me about the health benefits of breastfeeding or anything like that, so I didn't produce much anyways, so I just fed him milk from the store, like cow's milk. And it wasn't until later that I realized that maybe that wasn't the best sort of nutrients for him. When he was 12 months old, I started noticing he seemed lethargic. Other kids just seemed so much more energetic. And I'd heard of this group on Twitter called Iron Moms. They raise awareness for anemia in pregnant women and in their infants. So when I took him in for his checkup, I mentioned to Dr. Aberez, and he ran a blood test to test for iron. Once we got the results, we found out that he had anemia.
Malnutrition in infancy can cause developmental issues and complications such as delay in the nervous system development, which can cause stunted growth or learning disabilities. In early infancy, even a brief period of iron deficiency can cause a lasting deficit of iron in the brain that carries into adulthood. Even if the iron deficiency anemia has been corrected, as a result, chronic iron deficiency anemia can lead to delayed cognitive and motor development in infants that can carry into adulthood as well. It is very important that parents seek treatment for an anemic infant as fast as possible, because if it is left untreated, the consequences could be irreversible, as nutrients are very important due to rapid growth at that age.
So the question still remains, what can be done to mitigate the effects of low income on nutritional conditions such as IDA? The Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, also known as WIC, is an example of a nutritional assistance program that has had a positive impact on infant health. The main aim of this American program is to improve diet, increase healthcare use, and promote emotional, physical, and cognitive development of the children enrolled. A scientific study done on both WIC participants and non-participants found that participation in the program was associated with a reduction in infant anemia, as well as a lower likelihood of feeding infants plain cow's milk in the first 6 months of life. The basic foods provided by the program, such as fortified infant formula and cereals, are specifically higher in iron and allows mothers to allocate a higher portion of their income to buying fresh produce and red meats, beneficial to the health of them and their infants. In Canada, infant formulas are required to be fortified with a number of vitamins and minerals, one of which is iron. Since iron fortification in these products has increased in the 90s, there has been a considerable reduction in iron deficiency in this age group. However, there is still room for improvement to address the other determinants of this health inequity, especially for infants who are from low-income families. The Canadian government currently funds a program called the Canadian Prenatal Nutrition Program, or the CPNP, which aims to improve the health of pregnant women who are faced with challenging situations to support their future children's health. This community-based program is designed to maximize equity and accessibility of resources for mothers in need. There are numerous aspects of the program, such as nutrition and lifestyle counseling, providing prenatal vitamins and food coupons, breastfeeding education, cooking classes, and infant care education to promote healthy child development. A scientific review of the CPNP found that involvement in the program improved mother and child health outcomes across all social categories. In addition, services such as lifestyle counseling and support groups can promote social support and have therapeutic effects on maternal well-being, which then has positive impacts on the health of her child. IDA could be addressed through the CPNP, through nutrition programs to promote iron supplementation in breastfed infants, how to transition to complementary foods after 6 months of age, and teaching about healthy food preparation in the context of time constraints, especially if you have a lower paying and high stress job that doesn't provide you with a good amount of leisure time to prepare healthy meals from scratch. In addition, universal approaches such as the child care benefit in Canada have been shown to have a significant impact on reducing food insecurity, with greater effects in vulnerable groups such as low-income populations. This extra sum can be used to supplement income and provide opportunities to purchase iron-rich foods such as produce and red meat. Approximately 65% of the families receiving the maximum child care benefit allowance are single parents, and 90% of these are single mothers.
My patient Angie and I worked together to reduce her toddler's anemia by reinforcing his diet with iron supplements twice a week. Angie also switched from regular cow's milk to iron-fortified formula. I have provided Angie with information on iron-rich foods, encouraged regular checkups, and referred her to a nutritionist. I also informed Angie about a maternal support group, should she want to participate in one.
Garrett's doing well now. I've learned a lot. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have had similar experiences to me, and that's why I wanted to be part of this film. Maybe they'll understand how they can protect their children from anemia just a little bit earlier than